never been done before.
We the people tell the government what to do. It doesn't tell us. We the people are the driver. The government is the car. And we decide where it should go and by what route to do. We the people are free. And I hope we have once again reminded people that man is not free unless government is limited.
Hello, beautiful people. How are you this very fine day? It's starting to get a little chilly in my part of the world. I hope it's doing all right in yours. What sort of a day have I had today? Still in pain, sadly. It is what we do. I have a friend, a very hard rubber ball, which I have been mercilessly grinding into certain parts of my back and doing some good, I think, but the real problem is up here in my neck. I think that's what the issue is, and I think that's going to require somebody with a bit more skill and ability than me to put whatever's out back in where it should be. But enough of my bitching, whinging, and moaning. Dave O, first in the house tonight. Nice to have you in, mate. The lovely Donna, Aussie Sue, who always remembers to tell us to like and subscribe, folks. Please. It means a great deal. Not just simply the fact that there's a thumbs up there, but it really helps us with the algorithm, and we are forever suppressed. Just how it is. But if you do hit that thumbs up button, or if you subscribe, then that algorithm has just a little bit more to deal with. So, and it has been working lately. So we have been getting the subscribers that are actually trying to subscribe for once. So I'm pretty happy about that. So yeah, please like and subscribe. Margot, I hope you are well. Tony, trust you are very good, my man. The lovely Connie and Alan, and the big fella himself is in the house. Now, Clayton emailed me just before we went to air about some potential things that could be yelled at infiltrators or people looking to do the wrong thing during Sunday's march. And I quite like his idea. Instead of going with shame, like I was talking about the other day, he quite rightly points out that these people have no shame. That won't stop them. But if you start screaming out Fed or plant or agent or any of those sorts of terms, because that's what these people, as he points out in his email, are exactly that. They are agents of whatever nefarious part of government trying to stir up whatever nefarious kind of shit. And I believe that will be the case, at least in one place on Sunday. I think Melbourne will be that place. And I think it's the division is going to come from those people waving the Aboriginal flag. There is a professional Aboriginal protest mob who are getting together with a multicultural group to march down to Flinders Street Station, where everybody else is going to be meeting or marching to or from there. I don't know. So they've stated some pretty militant kind of things, and I would say that if there is going to be a problem, it'd probably be more with them than anything else. Sadly, it really shouldn't be, but it is what it is. So I would hope that those people who go with clear intention in their heart to do the right thing will be able to overcome what will, by comparison, be a very relatively small amount of people trying to make the loudest noise possible. I call them the mice that roar like lions, because that's all they really are, tiny little mice with really loud voices. They scream. But once you whack them on the head with a trap, they don't scream too much anymore. We've noticed quite a lot of that in my part of what I do. The lovely Rachel in the house. Hope my bits are behaving. Yes, I think your bit of your healing did do great things. But look, if you could just do that little vertebra right up in the very top of my neck back there, that would fix a lot of things for me, I think. And good to hear that you're out of hospital. What the? Pleased and recovering well, I trust. We'll be in touch because I'll be heading up your way sooner than you may think. Just seeing if anybody's got any questions there. G'day, Deb. Hope you're doing well. Paul's in the house. Rachel and Jimmy, JFK, surviving okay, I think. Day 3's going along all right. He's a beautiful little dog. I've got a couple more videos I could share with you, but yeah, he's a beautiful little dog. Very lucky to have Rachel as his mum now, and maybe she's lucky to have him too. Hey, Vincenzo is in the room. G'day, buddy. Nice to have you in. Johanna, freezing in South Australia, says Deb. Gee, that's not exactly the word you want to hear. The lovely Belinda. How are you, doll? I hope you are well. G'day, Vicky and Sandy K. Anyone in the Hunter Valley free on Monday that would like to come and help groom or shovel shit for 103 donkeys? You've had a fair few of your volunteers sick or pull out. The bastards. I mean, do they think it's all just cuddles and carrots? Is that how it works, Sandy? I'm disappointed. If I was there, darling, I'd love to come and help you shovel shit. But if there are folks who are going to be around the Hunter Valley and wouldn't mind being around the donkeys, then by all means, please reach out. We'll hook you up with Sandy and the crew at the Good Samaritan Donkey Sanctuary. I get the feeling that if you're a gardener and you asked politely, you might be able to take home a bag of donkey poo. Is that like horse poo? Is that as good for your garden as that? I don't know. But you'd probably want to leave a small donation, say $2. It's only small, but every little bit counts. You could give us a $2 donation and we'll give a portion of that to the Good Samaritan Donkey Sanctuary as well, just by the by. It's pretty easy to do. Go to merch.vofhq.com and then at the top of the screen, you'll see a Sanctuary $750 link. Click on that and it's $2 a ticket. 750 tickets in our draw number 6. I think we have about 500 tickets left to sell, and there are 2 prizes once again in this draw. The first is $750. The second is the Voice of Freedom Byron Bob pack, which will contain 10 1/10 of an ounce Byron Bobs, giving you a whole ounce of silver, but in a very attractive blue packet, which I don't have close to me to show you right now. So, but you get the idea. If you'd like one of those without having to rely on winning it out of the lottery, you can contact me as well, carl@vofhq.com, and we'll put you down for one of those. Vince is madly making the holders as we speak. And failing that, just a $2 donation through merch.vofhq.com, and hopefully you pick up $750, the silver. Or at the very least, you'll go home with a warm, squishy feeling that you've been able to do something nice for the donkeys. All 103 of them. Can you imagine how much shit there is to... yes. I mean, not all of it will be there that needs shoveling. Some of it will be out in the paddock. You won't have to worry about that bit, I'm sure. I don't think Sandy sends Baz out into the paddock to pick up the poo. Could be wrong. Could be wrong. Stranger things have happened. Well, I just saw Alien pop up. Alien, yeah, you could just stand there and be looking up and see how many join you. Interestingly enough, I watched something a little while ago now. It was about some Australians who were summoning, if you like, UFOs. They were going to certain places in Australia. There's a place down near Wollongong. There's another one up inland of Brisbane and inland of the Sunshine Coast, and another one further north again, I think, between Gympie and somewhere further north, where UFOs were regularly spotted, and people would, pretty much set their watch by it, so to speak. They would go out and literally say, we want to see UFOs, come to us, expose yourselves, so to speak, and they do. I've got to say, I have been out the back here on many a dark night saying just the same thing, and if they are exposing themselves to me, I'm going to need better glasses. That's all I can say. Silver Fox, that is probably not ideal, is it? The wind has just blown a branch into your garden arch and smashed it. the wind has just picked up here too, and I saw just prior to coming into the show that the Gold Coast this weekend, and there we go, Brisbane is expecting a very windy and wet time of it. Great. I've got washing out there that needs to be dry. Bugger. Anyway, if that's what it holds for the weekend, that's what it holds for the weekend. Daniel Weir, I trust you are doing well, my friend. Whenever I see Daniel, I think of Canberra because I still haven't caught up with you in Canberra. Dan. I haven't been there, in my defence, since the last time I was meant to catch up with you and didn't. But I promise next time I will. I did have a good conversation last night with Michael Offey off the air. We decided not to record that conversation and play it back because we can speak about a lot more things. And because it is an active court case, got to be a little bit careful about what is said. And so I had a very good chat with him yesterday and got a good idea of how the case is going. I haven't heard today if, as expected, Paul was going to be able to call his first witnesses. There have been submissions placed in front of the court every day so far this week that have meant the judge needs to go away and consider those submissions. In most cases, the jury can't hear anything about that and therefore can't hear any evidence either. So the jury have heard some evidence. They've heard the evidence of 2 prosecution witnesses, police witnesses. But as of last night, some various different things regarding the witnesses and authority and jurisdiction and a whole heap of other things were being tested quite significantly. And one of those tests needed to be passed by the prosecution this morning. Now, I'm assuming that they somehow managed to pass that test, or if they didn't, the court has chosen to ignore what would have been a plea for complete dismissal of all charges if they didn't turn up with the paperwork they were meant to. But the court has been doing what it bloody well likes. Let's be honest. It's administrating people rather than providing justice. And I've got no reason to believe that the one currently sitting in Canberra is going to do anything other than try and make Paul's life hard. So I will find out a little later on, no doubt tonight, and I'll bring you up to date, possibly over the weekend, with how that all went. The big problem, of course, being that because the court chose not to extend the dates where the boys could go and find proper legal support and get all their ducks in a row, they essentially were told no. This time last week, they were told no, you're going to court, going to trial on Monday. And that's exactly what happened. So Paul is currently running his own case in conjunction with a Mackenzie's friend and doing a really good job of it. Is he doing the best job of it? Is he doing a job that a $200,000, I don't know how they justify it, but $200,000 barrister could do? Probably not. But doesn't have $200,000. So anyway, the biggest stitch up will be the witnesses that the team have had to get to Canberra in a very short period of time. Now, I believe there are many people who are very eager to come and provide their testimony on Paul's behalf. And 6 of them have driven, it might even be 8 or more now, have driven thousands of kilometres to be in court yesterday and today for what they expected to be the 2 days of testimony given by the defence witnesses. Now, yesterday there was no testimony heard at all by the jury because of the arguments and the decisions being handed down by the judge in various different submissions that were put forward. Today would have been another day where submissions would have been put forward. They may not have heard anything today either. I don't know. If that is the case, then that means that Paul either loses his witnesses because they've got to go back home to work, to their lives, or somebody has to pay for keeping them in hotels, motels, or wherever in Canberra for the duration of the time that they are going to be required. And that's going to get very, very expensive very, very quickly. So watch this space. We'll try and bring you up to speed with how that's actually played out today. But I suspect the court is trying to go relatively slow on all of this and places more financial strain on the offies to weaken them as they go there into court every day to try and battle for not only Paul's freedom, but getting the truck returned to him as well. I don't think I can talk about the strategy just yet, but we will get to talk about the strategy in the near future. Oh, Rachel says JFK has been a bit of a bugger today. In the naughty corner, he's starting to test boundaries. Oh, well, I guess we've all got to test boundaries from time to time. Yeah, that's a very interesting point, Ian. Any money on Sunday night, MSM portraying the marches as sovereign citizen marches? I reckon you are 100% on the money. So let's get in. I don't have a great deal planned for tonight's show because I do want to touch on this sovereign citizen thing a bit. Now, we can be all uppity and we can be correct in telling the world that sovereign citizen is an oxymoron. The Australian Constitution states in section 128 that the people of Australia are sovereign. Sovereign means you are above government. Citizen, subject, or national means a person owing allegiance to and entitled to protection of a sovereign state. In Australia, the government is not sovereign. All right, not sovereign. Now, I know I'm preaching to the converted. You know this. But for the people who are taking an interest in our side of alt media for the first time because they think we're all gun-crazed lunatics going to go off and slaughter people left and right, nothing could be further from the truth. What does tend to piss us off is when you get sovereign and citizen mixed up, because you cannot be a sovereign citizen. You cannot fulfill either side of the sovereign or the citizen argument as a sovereign citizen. And there it is laid out again. So fingers crossed that this message will get through, but we know it won't. And some of these scary things that are starting to be said, well, they're a little bit concerning. Channel 7, let's start with them. Extremism experts. These are unnamed people, remember? They're quoting unnamed extremism expert. Who said this person is expert? Explain to me why they're an expert in extremism. But no, Channel 7 don't do that. Extremism experts are warning the fatal police shooting in Port Punket could prompt violence at protests back in Melbourne this Sunday. They hold concerns sovereign citizens will hijack an anti-immigration rally. So now they're running two narratives. It's an anti-immigration rally on Sunday, which it's not. It's a March for Australia. That's, in fact, right in the title, March for Australia. Not an anti-immigration rally, although I accept it has been turned in certain circumstances and under certain ways by certain people to look and feel a bit different to that. But I, in my heart, believe, because I've spoken to a lot of people who are going to attend this event in Sydney, Melbourne, Adelaide, Brisbane, and where else? I spoke a couple of regional areas, Bundaberg being one, and Rocky, I think, another. They're going to attend these events, and God love them for doing it the way it should be. Now, what happens if we do get some balaclava-wearing buffoons turn up? Well, you call them out. You call them Fed, agent provocateur. You surround them. You point at them, and you make sure that they take that mask off, and you get a photo of them. if there is a mask on someone's face at this March for Australia on the weekend, then that person is subverting the entire intent of the march. And I think it's incumbent upon the good people like Clayton, the two Tims, Connie and Alan, who might be turning up as well, you guys who are going to turn up, good people. It's incumbent upon us to stop that sort of idiocy and call it for what it is. The government trying to get, well, governments trying to get a certain narrative going. And now they're playing two of them. Because, first of all, it was, I beg your pardon. First of all, it was the extremist expert warning that sovereign citizens could hijack the anti-immigration rally. In South Australia, they have decided to step that up just one little bit more. Police are dealing with cop haters. Notice ABC involved in the reporting of this. Oh, they wouldn't be ramping up the frightening statistics there at all, would they? No, they'd never do that. So now we've got cop haters and we've got oxymorons that we're all being accused of. And what is it doing? Well, it's scaring some people into believing this shit. If mainstream media is telling it to you, it is shit, folks. It is lies. It is deception. It is meant to trick you. I know it can be hard for many normies to understand that, but normies already think they're woke and awake at the same time. And I'm not sure that we can help them. I guess when the 5G goes on, oh, look, there he goes, talking about those weird conspiracy theories again, except we can back it up with the facts of science, their own words, the government's own words. It's all there for us to see and show. But, oh no, we're conspiracy theorists. So I guess we're all proud of it. And if we are going to be conspiracy theorists, then let's do it together for Australia on Sunday. And let's not be divisive. And if we do see division, let's wrap our arms around those people in a genuine, nice, gentle way and say, hey, this isn't the way to do it. Not here, not now. Because whatever you're fighting about isn't the Australian way. Because if you were talking about the Australian way, you'd be sitting under a tree sharing a beer, or you'd be hugging it out, or you'd be laughing and telling really bad dad jokes. Watch for those who come in with an evil intent, folks, and excise them from wherever you are. Point them out, shame them out of the pack, out of the march, and make sure you hound them out of it. If the people are coming hiding their faces, they are not welcome. They are doing more to damage our movement than anything else. If you see anybody turn up covering face coverings, stop them, point them out, point them out. Make sure everybody knows what they are. Embarrass them, shame them, get rid of them. Make them pull that balaclava off or whatever is hiding their face. Because that's what agents do. That's what provocateurs do. That's what paid infiltrators do. They hide their face. Horrible, horrible, horrible bastards that they turn out to be. A little bit of international news. Donald Trump, you might have seen, has been trying to get rid of one of the directors of the Federal Reserve. Her name is, well, she's a governor, Lisa Cook. Now, Trump went to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court of the United States of America agreed that he should be able to sack whoever he wants as part of the, as the head of the executive arm of government. However, this rather interesting woman, this Lisa Cook, who it looks like has been involved in a bit of a dodgy home loan lending thing, she's saying, I'm not leaving. You can't sack me. You don't have the authority to sack me. And you'll never believe how they're playing this. They're citing threats to the Federal Reserve's independence as a reason why she can't be sacked. Because remember, the Federal Reserve is completely independent of the US government. That is what controls the US financial system. And that is why Donald Trump is attacking it so very hard. Now, I have no doubt he will get his way, as interesting as it'll be. But along with this sort of little rewriting, they're also looking at rewriting certain aspects of January the 6th. Now, the rioting that went on that day, and I was asked this question today, if we took over Parliament like they did on January 6th, was the question posed to me. Could we win? I said no, because they'll do to you exactly what they did to everybody on January the 6th. They'll wait 6 months, lock you all up in jail for 4 years, or until there's a change of president, where you might get out if you're lucky. So no, I wouldn't be going and trying to exercise any kind of right like that. You might get into Parliament, you might get to walk around, but they will come for you and they will treat you just like the Americans treated them on the 6th of January. Donald Trump's been fighting it, for 3 or 4 years? Just ridiculous. Check this out. A deal. Now, if ever there was a question of whether or not the Voice of Freedom people are full of shit, this should answer it. If you happen to be in the Hunter area and you would like some donkey poo and you are a VOF supporter, you can come and get your donkey poo for free. Thank you, Sandy. How lovely is that? Because I know that you do, raise money through the poo to help do the things that you do with the poo and other things on the farm. So, top effort. Just reading a couple of the comments here. Sorry, I'll scoot down to the bottom. It'll help me catch up. Trump going into Chicago is a big deal. I would agree. Head of the Luciferian snake in the US. Well, I would have thought that Chicago was second on the list behind Washington, D.C., to be honest. But Washington, D.C. apparently cleaned out. I would have thought Chicago and Boston would be the other place I would be taking a big, close look at on the East Coast. But we shall see. Vince is getting a pen friend. That's lovely. Old Parliament House. What if we were to take over Old Parliament House? Lots of fun. There is a school of thought on Old Parliament House that indicates, well, you wouldn't get arrested for taking over the corporate office up the road. Put it that way. They wouldn't be able to charge you with the sorts of charges that they might put on you for a January 6th style encroachment on the Australian Parliament House. It's very interesting. Old Parliament House has a lot of very interesting features to it, shall we say. Did you know that King Charles paid it a visit when he was out here recently, or start of the year, whenever it was, ho-hum? Why did he pay it a visit? Well, nostalgia maybe. But no, he turned up in the chambers and went and stood there and waited for a subject to raise a point with him. And, of course, there were no subjects in there to raise any issues that he had. So he said, right, well, I've attended. Nobody has a problem. I'll move on. And that's exactly what they did. Put him back down in the tunnel and shuffled him back off to whatever mansion he was staying in Canberra that night, probably the British Embassy. So it does happen. And Chicago, well, Chicago is certainly on the list of places that we would go to try and clean out. I would hope that we are going to see some of this in Australia sooner rather than later. But anyway. Now, folks, should we start a campaign to buy a bag of donkey poo and get the donkey sanctuary to send it to Albo with a note that says refill? I think that's lovely. Many years ago, I was working in Canberra when the last French nuclear weapons testing, I think at Rover Atoll, was happening. And there were a lot of protests in front of the French embassy. And one day, a truck, a very large truck, turned up with a whole heap of cow shit, merde, and dumped it at the front gate. It was about 5 foot high and 20 foot round. It was a huge turd pile. I was quite surprised. The French lived with it for weeks, but then I visited Paris and it smelled just the same. So I guess they get used to it. However, the French have experience with shit. And they have a shit leader at the moment who's just taken the gloves off with J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance has been on a family holiday in the UK and Europe, and he was going for a round of golf and lunch at some golf club in the UK. When it was found out that he was going to be there the next day, the staff all said, we won't serve him. Don't bring him here. We're going to walk away from him. Shows such disrespect. Even if you don't like the guy, just to show that sort of lack of respect for the business and everything else, it's just, well, it's not surprising, I guess. Now, of course, Europe the EU is starting to flex their muscle. Of course, it's more like that, and it's a very self-gratifying move because it's not going to do anything other than make them feel good for a very brief minute or two. And Macron is heading the pack. Now, it's all about the tariffs. He's trying to fight back against Donald Trump's huge European tariffs on things. And they'll come up with one or two little pet things that they can fire back. I don't think any one of them is going to affect Candace Owens, who is still going hell for leather, exposing Macron's wife as a man, a Rothschild, nonetheless. If you haven't caught up on her series with that, I know it's behind a paywall. I haven't seen it all myself, but I have seen her sideshows about it. And a lot of the information that is in the main show comes out in that. It's pretty much irrefutable evidence, I've got to say. And the fact that a political leader is trying to use their political sway with the president of the United States of America to have her curtail whatever she's saying about Mrs. Macron, the woman that beat her husband up as the plane door was opening wherever they visited a little while back. I think it's hilarious, but people will wake up eventually, one hopes. The government are scared when you hear the media lying. You're 100% right, Daniel. And the media need to be called out at every stop as well. They are liars. They are generating news. They are, well, if you're Avi, they're provocating. They're insulting. They're provoking to get a reaction so that then, in Avi's case anyway, he can claim that he was hurt in some way. Oh, you picked on me. Such a sad... And he's doing it again. I've got... since I did that thing on Avi last week, I've had so many people tell me, oh, you've got to do this, you've got to watch this, you've got to watch this. Do it on him on this show. Look, if I was going to cast my life around Avi and the kind of shit that he pulls, I'd be a very different person. That isn't me. I'd like to point it out to folks to say Avi is a Zionist stooge who is screwing with everybody. He's having a lend of you, and then he's going to take your money from you. Oh, my microphones didn't work very well. That's because... Okay. Here's a little microphone etiquette. I haven't got one here that is like, within reach at any rate, that is like the one he used. But let me give you a little microphone etiquette. Let's say that this glasses case is the microphone, and this end is the bit you talk into, you pointed at you. Now, generally, microphones taper down into a little point, and if it is a wireless microphone, it'll have a little transmitter out the bottom of that. All right, you may not see it. It might just be something that pulses out of the thing. But if you hold your microphone with your hand wrapped around that little transmitter, so you've got as much of the microphone end sticking out, and you're really only holding onto the end of your microphone, your hand is wrapped around the transmitter or receiver, and therefore it's not working. Now, I thought Avi was a very smart man, but he's not smart enough to figure out that his hand wrapped around the wireless transmitter on his microphone is going to give him audio issues. Sadly, he managed to put a call out to us, his audience, to buy him a new one. And they did a really great live streaming setup that was not cheap, guarantee you. I wonder if that was paid for by the Zionists that he managed to get out to shut down that lady's hairdressing shop. I mean, she was pretty woke, but I don't believe that the actions that he took that day were any better than or less horrific than what the Nazis did to the Jews in 1935, 36, 37, when they started kicking them out of the country. So, anyway, we're not going back into an Avi kick fest. There's too much to kick. But I am pleased to see that I had some conversations today with people. And there was a lot of broad agreement about a lot of these people out there in the midst of life, the universe, and everything. When it comes to the freedom movement, God, I'm starting to hate that term. Are you? I don't hate it as much as I hate the term influencer, because I don't consider that's what we are. Educators, I would say a lot of us are. I would also say there are a few wankers, a few dickheads, a few morons. But that's why God gave us the ability to discern. And you can choose to put me in whichever one of those categories you choose. That is your right. I've had a lot to say about... Oh, well, actually, before I go on to that, I'll talk about the September 13th march, for the want of a better term. Now, last night I said to you I heard it might be called off because of a by-election. Well, yes and no. It was a half-truth and a half-fact. And I did tell you at the time that I hadn't had time to check it out. So, yes, there was a by-election called in New South Wales, and the Libertarians believe they've got quite a good chance of slipping a person into that seat. Pardon me, that's Craig Kelly. Now, Craig was going to have a rally on September the 13th as well, but he's decided not to have that rally now because it would distract from the by-election. So that had nothing to do with the worldwide rally, which, as far as at the moment I can tell, really only extends to London. And Tommy Robinson is running that particular rally. And that rally is very much about taking back England for English, for POMs. It's a very staunch, meant to be very friendly, but a very staunch, hardline event to make sure that the government knows they're doing the wrong thing. And of course, the government already knows they're doing the wrong thing. They don't care. But Tommy Robinson is speaking about September the 13th in terms of this is where the English people get to stand up and teach the world what it is to rebel. So they'll be doing it approximately 12 hours after we stand up and do whatever we're doing on September the 13th. I'm not sure if that's raising hell or gathering around holding hands and singing Kumbaya. And I'm not completely sure those people organising it are going to, well, I'm sure they'll have better ideas as it gets closer. However, the September 13th rally is not off in Australia because of a by-election in New South Wales. It's, Clayton, Arvie, Tommy Robinson is the Arvie of the UK. Well, he's done a bit more jail time than Arvie, just saying. But yes, I understand Tommy has some... look, what can I say? Tommy has had some challenges, some very confronting things thrown his way, and he has reacted, not unexpectedly in certain ways, which have landed him in a fair bit of trouble. I guess they've slammed him with the same kind of bullshit they've slammed Desi Freeman or Philby, depending on what name you knew him by. That, of course, is the gentleman who's still on the run, night 4, I think it is, in Victoria, in the high country there, where it's starting to snow and rain and get wet and horrible and freezing cold. But I don't think Desi will have too many problems with that. In fact, I nearly put it up as the meme to open the show with tonight, and I thought, is it too close? Is it too soon? Some smart bugger out there has come up with a Where's Wally meme, but it's Where's Desi? And you can imagine there's hundreds and hundreds of blue-clad police wandering through the bush, all trying to find a little pair of Desi's eyes poking out from behind a log somewhere. Probably not good taste to tell you about it either. I don't condone if Desi shot those police officers, and I mean if, because you're only going by what they say, what the media has told you, and they're ramping up the sovereign citizen bullshit. And now they're trying to link it, particularly Channel 7, trying to link it to potential dangers on Sunday at the March for Australia. Watch those people who are trying to do that. Watch those media agencies that are trying to do that. They're the infiltrators. When you see them on the streets on Sunday, do not talk to them. Do not give them a comment. Just tell them they're liars and they should be getting a job in our side of the game. Ask them where their integrity is. They have none. Ask them where their ability to discern truth from fiction is. Ask them why they're not allowed to follow a gut instinct on a story. Because in many cases, they're not. They're stopped by people higher up. So Sandy, you've got a bad feeling about the march. Look, I honestly don't believe there's going to be too many problems anywhere outside of Melbourne. And I'm not even sure it's going to happen in Melbourne, but I have some pretty good intel from people down there that say that the professional Aboriginals, the Aboriginal activists, the urban Aborigines of Melbourne are getting together to create all sorts of trouble. And they're going to be inviting their multicultural cousins. Now, you can be pretty much guaranteed anybody that they invite will not be white. So you are quite likely to see a fairly large contingent of Africans amongst other races turning up at that as well. And of course, at the moment, rightly or wrongly, Africans can, just the mere appearance of them can incite fear in people because they're tall, lanky buggers and they can hide machetes in weird places. Now, I don't know if the machete laws have taken effect in Victoria just yet, but let's be honest, does anybody really expect the criminals with machetes to walk up to a box outside of a police station and hand their machete over? Well, they might, but only if they've got a gun sitting at home that they can take out with them next time too. But that's just some of the idiocy they're getting on with. Now, hey, Carl, Redneck, what was this? Heard an unsubstantiated comment that Desi has a court case against dictator Dan that was supposed to start directly. Don't know details, might be worth a look. Okay, so I do know a bit about this. Desi, okay. Do you remember last year there was a court case in a little town called Myrtleford, and we sent people to go and cover it. The court didn't open that day; they stayed shut. That was because Desi had arrested or placed the judge under arrest, who was due to hear a few other things, I believe, in the court that day. Desi himself that day was also arrested, and I think it was the night before, was arrested and taken to the Wangaratta police station where he was locked up. And he was locked up for a period of time, long enough for him to get out, get back to the court when it did open, and find that his matter had been dealt with while he was locked up, and he had no recourse to go further with it. That's what I believe happened with Magistrate Dunn, I think the guy's name is. And Dunn was also the magistrate, I believe, who has been instrumental in some of the triggering incidents that have led up to this, that have affected this fella. There has been an outpouring of information from friends of Desi Freeman, people who know him well, and no one is condoning the shooting of anybody. However, there are questions being raised as to whether or not he actually did do that. There were more questions raised around the fact that the evidence to support the warrant seems to be a little weird. It's all historical evidence. It's all something that's, all a bit long ago and weird. Nobody really knows what it's about, but it's just a ploy they're using to get him. At least that's what friends close to him are saying. They're also saying that you won't find him, not until he wants to be found. And interestingly, one friend also said, Desi's family's fine. They're not with him. They'll be out in a few days. And the police will look stupid because they've been running around looking for them. And they've been safe in town the whole time. And as it turns out, last night, the police went and raided an address in Porpunka and found Desi's wife and a 15-year-old boy and the little baby. Arrested mother and the 15-year-old boy, later let them go without any charges. Well, seems fair because they didn't do anything. They weren't held for very long either, from what I can tell. So you'd imagine that she's pretty staunch and she's not going to be helping the police find Desi anytime soon. Desi, from what I've learned, and I've had a bunch of preppers ring me and want to tell me that they all know him and how good a bloke he is, and more particularly what level of knowledge he has living in the bush. So the general consensus is you won't find him until he wants to be found or he wants to come out. And he may decide that he doesn't want to come out. He'll just stay in the bush for as long as it needs be. And there will be people who will help feed him, I'm sure. But from what I'm led to believe, he's very capable in the bush and can feed himself. He doesn't need people to come and feed him. It's always nice, though, if somebody has a hot apple pie cooling on the windowsill. Oh, that's an American thing, isn't it? God knows. G'day, Kev. Hope you're doing well, mate. Is there a Sydney and Brisbane version of an RV? No, not really. I guess I could be. I could run around and poke cameras in people's faces and annoy the crap out of them. But that's not my style. I choose not to do that. RV knows no other way other than to do that. He calls himself a professional journalist, but all he is a professional shit stirrer. He's the kind of kid that, well, not him particularly because he was Jewish, but he's the kind of kid that you would have put in a boot locker at school and beaten the shit out of it, or a coat locker. You know, remember those metal coat lockers? And you put the most annoying little turd in it. I was the most annoying little turd that went into that locker on most of the occasions, can I just point out. But I reckon Harvey, had he gone to the same school I did, might have felt the same way. The close confines of a coat locker. Yeah, they arrested Desi's wife today and then released her, as you said. Corporate cops. That is the interesting tale of what's coming out of all of this. And the media are determined to suppress any of this sort of backstory information. It appears that Desi is the one prosecuting the crimes against Dan Andrews in Myrtleford, in the Myrtleford court. And he was due to go back into the court, I think, one day this week, to do some more harm to Dan Andrews. And I think that all of this has been brought forward to make sure that that didn't happen. That's, I think, what I've got out of the messages and the text and the emails that I've received from people that know him. I don't know him at all. I have no opinion on him one way or t'other. What I do see is a lot of similarities between this bloke and the Trains who were murdered by Queensland police a few months back up in Tara in Western Queensland. Now, there were 2 police that were shot there too, from memory, and a local, the next door neighbour. There is theories and talk that the next door neighbour was actually shot by police. Why were there 3 police officers breaking into Desi's bus, and they were breaking into his bus, when there were 10 more apparently standing around? Well, 10 turned up to deal with this warrant. 3 of them were used to break into the bus and got shot. And Desi was able to escape a bus. I live in a bus, right? I understand how difficult it is to escape from one. There's only one way out, unless you've cut your floor out or done some weird things. There is only one way out. So how did the other 7 police miss him? Is my question. There were definitely 3, at least, gunshots. Wouldn't that have alerted the other 7 coppers, presumably, who may not be standing shoulder to shoulder with the 3 that were shot, but they wouldn't have been 2 miles away waiting for, a radio call to be called in? Don't you find it a bit fishy that there are 7 extra police around there and the bloke still got away? I do. I mean, he just might be very clever. He might be very smart and very able, but I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Why did they arrest Desi Freeman's wife? They arrested her to find out what she could tell them about where he is. Tell us where he is. I'm not going to tell you. I don't know. You won't find him. Thanks very much. You're not arrested anymore. I reckon that's pretty much how it proceeded. She had the little one with her. She is in obviously no danger from him. And by the sounds of it, whatever these trumped up supposedly charges are against him, these historical charges, don't seem to relate to that lady or the children in his care at the moment. So I don't know. It is all a bit funny. Mainstream media use the word alleged. Yes, they do. That's their get out of jail free card. If you say somebody definitely did something, then you're in the shit. But if you allege they did it or they allegedly did it, then That's your get out of jail free card. Well, I didn't say you did do it. I said it's alleged that you did. I tend to talk in definite terms. If I tell you you're a prick, I've probably got proof of you being one somewhere on a video camera. That'll be for people close to me around here will know what I'm talking about that. Well, there you go. Shane and I are on the same page. You were on it before I was. I'm just late to the party scrolling down. What's this one, Clayton? You're talkative tonight. Come on, I was going to fly over to... oh, that's interesting. Oh, we are going to have a chat, Clayton. The government does know the end is near. I would agree with that, Slots, and they're going to try and do as much damage to us as possible on the way out. Jackie Lambie got put in a locker once. Not by me, by the way, says Rachel. Did you go to school with Jackie Lambie? Oh, God, that voice would have driven me mad. God. When did she come out? Jackie Lambie? Well, wasn't she was on? Didn't she go on Kyle and Jackie O and beg for a date or something like that? Was looking for a fella and was pretty crude about it. Got to have a big, and yeah. Anyway, each to their own. Miles' panic trip to the US. I think he was summoned to the US and they'll be issuing their orders, so to speak. And this is how you will play it from now on. And Miles is the one to bring all that back because he can play the whole thing as an AUKUS with an AUKUS cover. And don't hold your breath. I don't think we're going to get those submarines. That's another very, very good question, Sandy. You can tell the difference between the age in the photos because of the different hats the two officers are wearing. And even the younger one isn't wearing a hat that they get dismissed with out of the academy these days. These days they come out with the black Nazi caps that the Victorian police are so well known for. But yes, I thought the same thing. Why are the photos that are being released of these officers who are detectives, right? So they're reasonably senior. They've been in the force. You've got to think more than 10 years. They've been through the uniform and they've decided to get into fighting major crime. And in this case, good dudes, supposedly, fighting pedophilia and, child sexual abuse. Ordinarily, those people can't say enough good things about them. However, we have learned, particularly through Victoria, that group can be quite a lawless bunch of pedophiles themselves. And they have absolutely no problem using the legal system to aid and abet them committing crimes against families, particularly the men in those families. They'll bribe a lot of the women in those families, saying how much the government will give them financially if they just say, oh, well, here's what you've got to say to get that benefit, and here's what you've got to say to get that benefit. And if you've got a militant mum who doesn't want, who just wants to hurt her former partner, then she'll make sure that the kids don't see their father again until they are adults and can choose to do so themselves. It's a horrible state of affairs, and quite a lot of it is instigated by the child stealers in Victoria. Horrible bastards that they are. More investigations of gender reassignment in bathrooms, meaning primary schools, high schools, particularly in Denver, Colorado, and other places in America now, are not free-for-alls. You can't go to work or can't go to school one day with a willy and decide that you're a girl and start using the girls' toilets. It's not going to happen anymore. And it shouldn't be happening here either. I don't believe it's happening to huge extents, but we do have woke people who don't mind pushing that narrative still, which is a bit of a problem. I'm just getting down to some of the comments about the tech that they have. Yeah, so Trevor the Prepper, who does prepping courses out of Victoria, he's a very smart man. And I wouldn't be at all surprised if Desi and he knew each other at some point. I don't know that they ever did, but by the sounds of it, Desi has at least the skills of Trev, and that would mean he could live in anything from a log to a lighthouse and you'd never find him. So knowing how to escape heat detection, how to defeat the infrared and the FLIR cameras on those police helicopters, he'll know how to do all of that. And yes, in some cases it is as simple as covering yourself in mud, like we saw in Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. Was that a Predator movie? That actually can work. But if he's got, a few of those space blankets scattered around, then all he needs to do is get under one of those. They'll never see his body heat through one of those or a couple of those. And like they say, there's a lot of caves in them. There are hills. He could be in any one of them. So 450 plus police out there still looking for him, and a rampant media trying to ramp up the rhetoric that, sovereign citizens could be a danger at the rally on Sunday. Look, the people that you might consider, if you don't know what a sovereign is or a citizen is, and you might consider them sovereign citizens, they'll be pretty easy to pick. All right? They'll be carrying a different flag than the blue one. All right? And they're probably not going to want to argue with you about the blue one because they will have given up on the fact that you're carrying it, so you clearly don't understand the difference. Maybe if you are interested in learning the difference, then they'll tell you, and I hope they tell you politely and in such a way that it encourages you to keep on learning. But I'm sure there'll be some smart asses who just don't, and they'll treat it as a, we know more than you do. It's not a matter of we know more than you. This isn't what this march is about. This march is about all things Australian. How long's it been since you've had a cork hat on? How many of you are going to go out tomorrow now and go and try and find corks and a bit of string to hang off an old hat to keep the flies away? Everybody used to have a cork hat when I was a kid. We don't see them today, but we see plenty of flies. Plenty of cultural changes. Not a lot of Australian cultural value in the marketplace, though. So that's what the march, for me at least, is. Support Australia and all things Australian. I'm just wondering, Clayton, whether or not we can bring a cricket bat, a ball and some stumps so that we can stop every block or so and have an over of cricket. I think that'd be ideal, don't you? Let's see what happens. But whatever happens, be safe. If you do happen to be close to a small group, and it will only be a small group that causes these problems, film them, but do so safely. Don't put yourself in danger. Don't get too close. These things can escalate quickly. But I would hope that the good men of Australia who go out to march on Sunday will quickly put an end to any foolishness like balaclava wearing and, militant actions. And we just need to put our arms around them, give them a hug and say, not now. Wrong place, wrong time. You read this wrong. This isn't the place to do it. They can't wear masks. If they're going to come out and wear masks, they are the opposition. They are the government. They are the bastards we are relentlessly fighting against. And believe it or not, more than one of them is very definitely one of those dickheads on the road. Have a good night.
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back! Does anybody else want to stay? Let's rock!